Sometimes you wonder whether or not you're on or not. Anyway, hello, it's Cheryl Millett here, live at 5 Mondays. Getting back on track, I will say. It happens to all of us. It happens to all of us where certain things come in, certain things happen, certain things you never expected. And yet, what I'm hearing more and more, and just heard recently, that somebody is letting the cat out of the bag, that there is another, let's just call it another LD, downlock, coming to Canada, supposedly, hearing through the grapevine, mid-September, mid to late September, which means I'll get the yard sale in. How anything can project something so far in advance means that we have such models that are playing into what? They're playing into some sort of somebody's agenda at the end of the day. But I also heard that the end of it is April of next year. April of next year. So what does that all mean? I mean, are we following suit in what Australia is doing and certain things? But anyway, here's what I'm going to do, to be quite honest with you. I'm going to carry on with my metaphysical work and manage my energy, and I'm going to do all the things that are joyful for me. So I'll tell you what I'm really going to do as well this moment is I'm going to let those dates and anything that is projected out there that they want to happen also disintegrate and evaporate and not be necessarily on my mind. I'm going to put something else in there in place as to what I would like and not that. Again, it's just managing energies, and I've heard from some people it's going to get, what do they say, it gets worse before it gets better, especially if people are trying to hold the space to get what they want. Think of the controlling aspect. But if you're new to Live at 5, we are going to talk about something different, something maybe completely different or something new. And then I'm going to go into a little bit of the news. There's one particular thing, but when you have certain people have their head set on something, then certain things aren't actually coming to pass there. Hello. And so then we'll go into some jokes, some laughter. The Jokes, Puns, and Riddles book from 1968. It's got some really old-fashioned jokes and riddles and things like that. But let's go into something new. Now, what did I have for something new? Because it was a word that has now come up a few times, and is the word fragile. So I'm not sure what that means to you. Fragile. The word fragile. And it came up again and again, and from different people. And I want to kind of interject in a sense that everybody's probably going to have their definition, and it could be, well, it's the glass that's packaged in a particular box, and definitely it's fragile. You don't want to throw the box around, be it that you'll shatter the glass. But when it comes to man, and thinking about fragile, hi Howard. When it comes to man and thinking about fragile, I want to say that is, how can I say it? The strength we have, the innate abilities that we have, the powers we have, the choice, the free will, all of that never changes. And in fact, that if a fragile comes into play, it's because you're, how can I say it, stepping away from that. Not recognizing that, not identifying who we truly are as man. And so fragile, depressed, I would say a number of words that could come to mind when we're thinking lower vibration on all of that. But words do come up for people because top of mind, perhaps it's something to release, perhaps it's something that was held on to, a part of your life somewhere, and it's a little bit about the mirror work, really. It's what you think and what you put out there and what you say to others is an opportunity to look at what it means for you. So let me give you a little example here. If you I'm just going to keep this quite basic and also quite to the point, so that it's easier to understand. If you are saying to people, "Oh, so and so is a liar," "that person's a liar," "that person's a liar," you just there's a name that you use. In this case, it's a name, not necessarily a feeling. And that name. So if you hold up a mirror and you say, "Okay, what about lying resides in me? Did I lie before and feel guilty about it? Do I also lie and I'm not recognizing it? I'm kind of like a hypocrite. You can call other people liars, but you do it as well." So it might be some sort of a trauma thing as well, a particular time in your life where it was something you really didn't like you just, it happened to you, somebody lied to you, hurt your feelings, seriously lying just kind of put a mark, a bad taste in your mouth, or again, a serious, trauma of some sort. And you can also see that that's an opportunity to release. So if there's certain words, certain labels, certain name calling, certain feelings and emotions that keep coming up for you as you again, it's a level of awareness you have, but it's something that's coming up for you more and more. It's the languages that you use, the thoughts that come into your head. Even if you don't say it, then you can still, you think it, and then you can reflect upon it and see what it means for you. And instead of, yes, you're projecting it out there, but in essence, you're projecting it out there for you. It's something within you that identifies, in this case, with the word liar or name calling, liar, that name, that word. But it can be with other feelings. Like I remember things people speaking to me about, and it was at a time where it was coming up, frustration, 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 and other people were talking about it. So it is also an opportunity when people mention things to look to see if that, how can I say it, not necessarily tweaked your entrance, but maybe caused you to react in some shape or form, and see if that word actually resonates for you, some shape or form. We could be talking about absolutely the past, something that doesn't exist anymore in the sense of it happening, but it had happened. It did come up, and in a particular case, it was somebody who had talked about it, but throughout their whole life, there's things that frustrated them. But if you go back far enough and you're looking at certain, in this case, an emotion, it does come from somewhere. It came a first time, okay? It's the first time that something came that was very, very frustrating, and then be it you have the emotion being frustrated, other things come into your life to make you frustrated, and then you can look at it in a way that it's giving you a clue. It's almost like our outer world is giving us clues to check in to see if there's anything with that is for us. Now, if it doesn't do anything to us, it doesn't, it's more for the other person who is speaking it. And if you're speaking it, then clearly that's where you can absolutely hold up the mirror. Absolutely, absolutely. And it's a daily practice, it's a life practice, because different things will come up. And it's almost like shedding the onion, peeling the onion. So this will kind of come up and you'll peel that away, and it'll keep coming up until you've dealt with it. And that's why it's important that you understand, and that we all understand, that it is best to manage things and to address things and to look at things at the time it's kind of happening, because then you're going to be taking the volatility out of life where things happen. You have a good day, oh, you have a real bad day, and a good day, oh, okay, real bad day, oh, downtime, those kind of things. So in our life, we are definitely being exposed to all kinds of emotions, feelings, and situations that cause that, and what people are saying, the words. It could even be on television programming, and it'll all depend on how you react to it. But in essence, most people can actually throw away their television programming. They can, for all good it does. But there are some benefits to paying attention to everything that kind of comes your way, and it can be certain programs too, especially if they cause you to react. And in most cases, it's a pure entertainment. For some people, yes, we want to learn, but more and more I understand that what are we listening to? Because quite often thinking for ourselves always gets pushed to the side. So we look for the next expert, we look for the next program that's going to tell us exactly what they discover, or we think they know absolute, and they talk like they know, like it know. And really to discern, to stand back and to figure out what is real and not real does take standing back, and it does take that awareness. And this is, remember, I talk about language here every so often, and the word history is really high story, right? High story. You could call it a big fat lie. And I've certainly read certain things where people have divulged that they completely lied so that they could get the troops to rally up, get very angry, and then be part of a, mass murder, let's say, right? So it's interesting. Call it manipulation, call it whatever you want to call it. But the idea is these things kind of happen. But one of the things I wanted to talk about is on Sunday, I'm not going to mention names, unless I have permission I'll mention names, but there's something that came up, and I want to actually bring it forth for you. You may already be working with this, but it is a tool. And so on the walk club, somebody mentioned, somebody reached down and said, a feather. And I knew, is that a, she was just saying, is it a feather, is it a feather? And no, it was like a piece of dog fur, actually. And then she described why she was looking for a feather. She was looking for a feather to show her or give her a sign on whether she should do something or not. So that's the tool. Now, some of you might be familiar with the signs that you see already. And some might be familiar that if there's a particular thing you want to do or not do, or should you or shouldn't you do, that you can use something that does kind of give you a sign, and maybe it's for you to figure it out, and maybe it's not for you at all. But the idea is some people use this. She wasn't the only one that uses that. I was aware of other people using as well. So I thought I'd bring it up as something. I guess we have something completely new or something different today. And let's jump into some interesting things here, what's going on besides the possible this or the possible that, which is the possible this or possible that. That doesn't change how we get grounded in the now, how we can be joyful in some way, shape, or form throughout our day more and more. It doesn't take away all that stuff that at times comes to us. Really is, how can I say it? It may even be somebody else's desire, somebody else's agenda, but surely not ours. If we think twice about many of the things that kind of comes in and says, oh, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. One of the things I heard the other day, and I'm not sure if I'm going to find the link again, but and it was a lengthier conversation, but the idea was this is a person who knew very much about the EMFs and knew about the HAARP, and also said because of his how can I say it, his connections or whatever, that and I want to share this because really we're going to start to open up more and more of the things that, what do we believe? Not necessarily who do we believe, maybe a bit of who do we believe, but what do we believe? So it doesn't matter where it comes from. Is that 9 out of 10 whistleblowers are fake. I'll just say it as that. They're fake. And they've been planted. I often thought this with documents that they say get leaked. I'm going, what are they, complete idiots or something? That really, they actually have that happen. And the only reason why I say that, again, is over the years as you play certain games, and think of poker, right? Or think of anything where you got cards. And in playing cards, one of the things is you don't want somebody to see your hand. So if you're not paying attention, you could easily do whatever you can about showing your cards. And so this is kind of what reminds me of this scenario, when this person said, 9, disinformation, trolls, all of these things. So what to believe in some ways can lead people off the track, almost like a new divide and conquer, right? Or part of the divide and conquer, where you just, okay, well, I'm going to believe this person in this respect. And then, you have these confrontations or arguments with people going, well, no, I don't believe in that, and I don't believe in that easily enough, because they come in and it's all about, it's a leaked document or blah, blah, blah. So I remember The Art of War. I got to read that, Howard. So many people bring that up. And the idea is crafty comes to mind, deception comes to mind, psychological manipulation comes to mind. So if you can be 10 steps ahead of everybody else, and also using the things that have come forth or been taught about mind, from wherever, I think it was Jung's nephew, or it was one of those individual, I don't know if it's Carl Jung or the other fellow, Freud or Freud's nephew or something, where he really tuned in how easy it was to manipulate people. And you probably have heard that, if you repeat something long enough, or the mind control or the prisoner scenario where you can break them down, you just have to repeat it, and then there's these questions. And I think somebody mentioned it recently about how to do that, which is you ask one question, and then somebody asks a totally different question. See, the mind gets so confused, but they ask it in a higher voice. And then you have all of these people interrogating at the same time, and the confusion comes in. You don't even know what to think. But I don't even know if I want to say they mastered it, but they understand it, they use it, and they're applying it against somebody who knows not what they're doing. And in this case, in a lot of cases, why people easily follow any narrative is either for what it means for them. They want to travel. I surely had somebody by here today who is a practitioner of sorts and teaches martial arts, and got it because of the travel aspect. You're not going to be, but there's still a sense for a lot of people in that kind of head space that things are just going to be honky-dory now, that we're getting to the end. Well, if there is an end in mind here about controlling the world, as the Global Economic Forum, clearly they state what they state in there, then wonderful, thank you, Howard, then really it's not over in a lot of ways. It's not over. I mean, the people who are going to push the most is the ones who have such a goal that benefits them in such a way, whether that's wealth, whether that's power, whether that's out of fear for any of that, and it's just where they're born into. But there is people that are definitely projecting what they want to happen in the world, and it's coming through our politicians, right? The reset. But don't listen to it. Try to understand that it exists, but don't. It's almost like I can't tell you what to do, but that's like a piece of thing for me, that it's about taking that, packaging it up, and throwing it in the garbage. There's many ways to kind of unpack it at the end of the day, or to move it as you hear it, move the energy of the words, move and understand the feelings that you have for it. So being neutral is definitely the practice of self-mastery. It's definitely one of those things that helps you be the observer and raise awareness, raise consciousness at the same time. It's definitely a lot more than I could ever cover in any short period of time, and also because people are in different places and understanding, they'll get certain things and they'll mean certain things to them, and it's part of the journey. So you've got to go off and experience it, practice it. Becoming an expert just by reading books makes no sense to me. I'd rather have a chemist who's been a chemist in the field, possibly limited in a certain field of chemistry, but nonetheless not somebody that has read a ton of books and really hasn't had the experience. And I did have a chemistry teacher that spoke to that point, that he had been doing chemistry as a profession for a couple of decades or more, and then was now teaching it at high school level. And that made a lot of sense. So question is going to be huge going forward, is to question. If you can do anything for anybody and for yourself, and for have recommendations for people or suggestions for people, is may I suggest you question? May I suggest you question more and more? See what questions come up. See what questions people can have about it, even if they can get to practicing having questions. This is an important part, to be open, to be curious, and to be open for things to kind of come in. And if people believe in a certain thing is happening, or don't believe in this, then get them to put it in a question. Get them to put it in a question, so that let me give you an example so it makes it easier. Let's talk about masks. Masks work or don't work? And if we get in the neutral ground here, so okay, I'm in the neutral ground, and somebody over here says masks don't work, and somebody over here says yes, absolutely masks work. Why wouldn't we why would we be told you should have to wear it? So let's say there are three of you, there's two other people here, and I've come up in this situation, and I say to both of them, I say, okay, well, let's put out the question, do they or do they not work? Let's put that out there. Now you can say, if you're with people who are spiritually oriented, let's put out to the universe, do the masks work or don't they work? Because for every question there is an answer, and if people ask that question, so get them to ask that question. Get them to repeat and ask that question as well. You ask the question. Get them to say it. And as they say it, things are going to align, information is going to align for them to, but they got to be open. So they got to be open to getting the answer. And maybe it's about those aspects, being open, question, come up with a question. You believe it's their work, and you don't believe that they work, so let's put out a question and see if we can find the truth, right? The truth. And there you go. So that might be a very interesting footing for a number of people, is you be neutral. So they may ask, let's say they pretend to ask me, well, what do you think, Cheryl? And I would say, well, I've seen a number of things. I've definitely heard that some will say, wear it, but I haven't actually see them demonstrate that it works. And then I've seen other people demonstrate that they don't work for the reasons they do. Have you seen that video? So you can see how the conversation can lead. Because somebody told me the other day, it was teachers pension, and it was about that, and they shared a video because they hadn't really heard another side for the mask. And so this person shared the Dr. Bridal video I posted on the last live at 5, where he absolutely shows, you're thinking aerosol, and you can fog up your glasses with one, not one, just, two, and even, I think he had 2 masks on, and you can, maybe 3, but you can see that it's coming through, because there's the water molecules, there's the glasses fogging up. And this person had never seen the video. So again, an opportunity to ask the question and to share information as the conversation goes. Now, you've already got them to ask the question, so you can continue that way. And if they ask you a question, just be truthful, just be truthful. And there you go, that kind of that part. Let's go into something else here. And thanks again, Howard, for that link to the art of war. Maybe if we understand more about how they're thinking, we'll actually read something like this, we'll actually see it happening before our eyes and go, whoa, I might have read that book too. And so how fun would that be? Is there really an art to war? Is there really an art to war? And you've heard many times, maybe not, maybe you have. I think it was David Wilcock. He mentioned a number of books where they say certain things were completely fabricated for the many reasons they were. Yes, to gain control. Yes, to make money. Yes, maybe to ping some people off this planet. And surely it's to bring people more and more together. That's the annihilation. That's the conquering, right? So if you're in war and you've got two tribes and one tribe wins, then that tribe is going to spread over the lands of the other tribes. So you see, you've got less tribes now. And so war can achieve that in the early days, where you have less, and you come more to one people, and that happened very much in the past, and that is kind of what the Global Economic Forum is leading to, as far as come together, so that the Global Economic Forum, using the Catholic Church for faith, right, them controlling the faith aspect of what you should and shouldn't do and what is better for you or not. And I think the other aspect was medical, that they wanted to control as well. Medical, that would absolutely fit in the injections. Climate really is, they're doing a lot of crazy things in and of themselves. So that's probably just leading us down another path. Okay, so let me go. I want to talk about, I don't know if you see it, I'll put the link down below. It was something that came up. It's a Twitter feed, and Bara, I don't know if I'm saying this right, but Barracuda Barbie, that's what it is, all one word, Barracuda Barbie. And there's 3 parts, and this is an RCMP linked Zoom video. And here in Toronto, our Mayor, John Tory, pops in to this video. But on this video, this one fellow, I do not know who the speaker is, and people had asked in the Twitter feed, who's the person speaking? But you can see it's some sort of committee that's come together, and they have a certain amount of time to speak and share. And this one particular person goes, hey, if we are, as our health gurus are, whether that's the health guru in Toronto or the health guru for Ontario or Canada or whatever, are saying that this is the scenario and it's based off of UK, this person stepped in and said, okay, UK, okay, we will, he went and crunched his numbers himself. So he went and looked up, and what he found out was that the information that has been spewed in social, let's say mainstream media or through the government was entirely wrong. That was wrong. So he, this fellow, who I wish I knew who it was, but he mentioned that it's like 99.9% and this new variant in the cases, and he mentioned it was in that vein. And it's interesting to watch people who are on the video, because basically it was definitely a Zoom committee meeting, so you can see a number of people there listening. But it's interesting how you see people looking elsewhere, fiddling, doing all of that stuff, and not really being tuned into the information. And then John Tory pops in, and he's doing the same thing. He doesn't look like he's all together. And it's interesting. I don't know if people do that normally on Zoom. Really, I mean, I'm on a couple of regular Zoom things, but it was kind of crazy. So let me just see what else is with this Twitter thing. I'm going to post this, Barracuda Barbie. Let me read this. Yeah, 3 parts. Oh, is refreshing for some reason. I just want to read it. So it's an RCMP link scenario. This is going to come, yep. 3 parts, RCMP. They're only a couple of minutes each. Leaked Zoom with John Tory. You have been scammed. And that's kind of what the words that come out of this guy's mouth. But it's interesting to watch the people and their response to this person speaking. The person who's speaking, if it's the gentleman in the suit here or the one beside, I'm not sure. But it goes through, and then again, you watch it through. There's kind of a little bit how can I say it, overlap, but a couple minutes each. It's worth the watching. The reason why I say that, because we're going to be focused on being neutral. Then it's interesting how people are cropping up in these committees, perhaps, and finding out and exploring, maybe questioning on their own, and just like putting it out there, going, this is what I learned. You know, really they're saying this, but this isn't true. It's almost as everybody else is going to go, whoa, like really? Oh my God, you found out that. Let's check on that. Let's follow that up. Let's do that. Who knows? But what I did kind of gather from somebody recently too as well is that the politicians are paid. Now, we've heard this before, rumors call it, but that is why some people have said they haven't talked, because it all goes to the federal government, and the federal government is paying money to people to toe the line, toe the narrative, right? That kind of stuff. So here nor there, we can let it get us down, or we can step into our wonderful powers of just raising our vibration and helping more and more people to question and to be curious. Whether they do or not is not up to us, because we have to honor free will, right? We have to completely honor free will. So that was really it. I'm going to make it short today for sure. I mean, I know I came on Saturday, but that was the few things that I wanted to speak. But oh no, one more. Sorry. Everybody's understanding that I have talked about the book Sapiens. Oops, that's probably where my page is. I've talked about the book Sapiens for a very long time, and let me just put my bookmark in there. And this is the second book, Homo Deus, which is a brief history of tomorrow instead of a brief history of the past. But I decided I was just going to open up the book and see what came up in reading here. And I just kind of browsed it seconds before I came on, and I want to read this because this book, I'd burn it if it had but it tells us stuff. That's kind of the fun part. You can read it and it's going, whoa, you're divulging this, and really is kind of towing the line as into a narrative that isn't unhealthy for sure. So let's see. What's true of cars is true of other products. Now listen, for example, to Professor Leif Anderson from the University of Uppsala. He specializes in the genetic enhancement of farm animals in order to create faster growing pigs, cows that produce more milk, and chickens with extra meat on their bones. In an interview with the newspaper Haaretz, reporter Naomi Darom confronted Anderson with the fact that such genetic manipulations might cause much suffering to the animals. And so he goes on to divulge this, and some we already know, but I thought this was just in black and white, if we can say it that. Already today, enhanced dairy cows have such heavy udders that they can barely walk, while upgraded, in quotation marks, chickens cannot even stand up. Professor Anderson had a firm answer. Everything comes back to the individual customer and to the question of how much the customer is willing to pay for meat. We must remember that it would be impossible to maintain current levels of global meat consumption without the enhanced modern chicken, and I call BS, If customers asked only for the cheapest meat possible, that's what the customers will get. Customers need to decide what is the most important to them, price or something else. Now, this is interesting. In a sense, we know more and more, and from the reports I'm reading, that they are, making fake meat. They're synthesizing meat, and it's been, if I have to tell you the truth, the play of, if I were a vegan, I wouldn't care to have fake bacon. I just wouldn't. But that play, as part of the game, has gotten people used to highly processed, fabricated, made up things that look like other things. And that's part of what's happened in our society at times, is they've come in, they who want to control the world, they come in with things and they get people, how can I say, they get people used to certain things, hearing about certain things, being able to relate it to something else that already exists. So the idea that absolutely animals have been, I've heard crazy stories. And he had other stories in here where there's like, you mix the genes of different animals because you want this and that, and it didn't turn out so favorable. It's experiments, basically, at the end of the day. Because really, man is much more complicated than what science can figure out. I mean, I've been hearing stories over and over again, and again another one today, where their father was in the hospital, and for 11 days they were trying to figure out what he had, and they couldn't. And you hear time and time again, nothing, they can't figure it out. The tests were clear. I mean, clearly people are having symptoms or things are coming up. But according to the way science tests in one hand, they don't get to come through, and because it's not working with nature. And so that was interesting, because again, probably through this humanist revolution chapter of Homo Deus, it's probably going to have more of that. And the more of that, if this is anything like the Homo sapiens book, I mean, I've read 150 pages of the 450 pages already, then what he's going to be doing here is he's going to be seeding the mind to be okay with the fake made up stuff, because partially what they're going to talk about is we can't make it. This world cannot sustain the amount of... Now, the thing I want to say about that as well, when we think of that, is, as I read in Fresh City Farms, they divulged something, and it was in my awareness. 50% of the food goes bad. 50% of our food goes bad. So as consumers, one of the things we have to recognize is we are buying into having more, almost like more is better. Or you like to see the fridge full. Well, you don't want to be caught with your pants down. I'm thinking the preppers here. So we have this habit of buying more than we need when we go to the grocery store. Of course, you can go after you've eaten, and that's one factor, or make a list. But at the end of the day, we waste so much food. We cook way too much food. We can't consume it all. You see it at restaurants. They serve way too much food, and a lot goes in waste. The hotels, the conferences. Why not run out of food? Why not run out of it? And so you're still a little bit hungry. That's how my uncle used to try to be. I'll eat till I'm still a little bit hungry. Why don't we practice those kind of things? Because to me, the knowing that how much we waste is, obviously if you eat too much food and it's not nutritionally sound, and then you can have health issues, and so it's the type of food you're eating too as well. But I don't buy into the fact that we can't have meat on this planet for everyone in the way we can be raising the cows healthily. I do not believe that we can't do that. I believe we absolutely can do that, raise the food that we have. But it's the idea that you can make more money from fake food. So imagine this: how many people would go, and I know this to be true because I've been with people where I'm foraging and picking foods. It actually happened on Sunday because there were some wild raspberries, but different looking raspberries. And one person spoke up and said, "Can we eat that? Are you sure it's safe to eat that?" And I said, "Absolutely, it's safe to eat that." But that is something. People can't even go and eat wild food without questioning that it's unsafe, it could be poisonous, could be killing me, blah, 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 all of that. And if we get into the fake food movement, then what's going to happen is people will be afraid to eat anything natural, to grow anything natural. And that is just going to take it again, as I've been saying, to another level. Like vegan allowed us, to flow in easier about, the fake bacon. I mean, soy was one of the first things that's been used in this agricultural landscape, and the genetically modified foods and all of that kind of come in with making the fake vegan food. Be it you don't want to have that much, especially if you're male, of soy, and it's highly, highly processed at the end of the day. Anyway, highly processed, refined, if we want to call it that. Not nature, not like taking your soybeans and soaking them and making milk with them. So a lot of information. I was hoping to get back to this book even as much as today. But I will, because I want to finish it, because I'm sure I'm going to have loads of laughs instead of with Sapiens, which it definitely it was very trying, and definitely had a few curse words with the book Sapiens, because I couldn't believe just how crazy he was seeding the mind, and his dark sense of humor, and his crazy nonsense stuff. So I know people say they like the book, and they like it for the reason why they like it. But, well, I don't know about you, but when it kind of gets into saying it is perfectly fine, you want to be part machine, and you know what? If you're part machine, then you can do things and download information, and probably just put that stick right into the side of your head, or even not. We'll send it through the airwaves. So this human augmentation stuff, even the government, I think... UK government has human augmentation. So you can start to see that they're starting to seed the minds for people on the benefit side of it, still the light side. I mean, man can blow away any supercomputer. Man can do so much more than we've been led to believe. And that's the crux of getting to, is who are we, and to truly, truly know ourselves for who we are is going to be so important. I keep coming back to that more and more with people, whether in doing the counseling part, is the simplicity and who we are, and how that in their particular situation works or has more meaning for them at that time. But let's go into some jokes. So there you go. Wow, nature. I'm all for nature. Let's think nature. And nature has it all going for it already. We don't need crazy augmentation, fake stuff, or the like. So here's some jokes and puns and riddles. In this case, it's I guess it's kind of a joke, but this is the classroom capers. We're gonna I'll probably do it this week, and then I'll switch to another one. But teacher, now Peter, if I had 2 hamburgers and you had 2 hamburgers, what would we have? And Peter says, lunch. Again, children can be so innocent and brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Okay, next one. The teacher asked the class to list, in their own opinion, the 11 greatest Americans of today. After a while, she stopped at one desk and asked, "Have you finished your list yet, Benny?" "No, not yet, teacher," replied Benny. "I just can't decide on a fullback." A fullback. So somehow he's probably thinking of the latest, probably football team, And is there a fullback in that one? Anyway, it does sound like it has to do with sports. Next one, this is 1968, so maybe they had a fullback back then, but don't have a fullback today. Next one, father, son. What is the difference between a school teacher and an engineer? Son, one trains the mind, and the other minds the train. So one trains the mind. Isn't that interesting? It makes me think of the education institution that has been created to make us believe certain things were the way they are or should be the way they are, and have lovely little children who should be running around outside stuck in a chair most of the day, most of the light day, especially over winter, and listen to what? Something they probably won't need or use in their lifetime. So fascinating, fascinating. So anyway, oh, thanks Howard for that. Toronto Police Board meeting, survival rate meritorious should resign July 29th. That's it. Awesome. So that's on YouTube. Great. So you can look to that. Clean eating kitchen, 5 reasons to avoid. It's probably 5 reasons to avoid fake food. So what is Howard? Yeah, CNBC, Bezos, Gates, oh, fake food. You're gonna, fungus cake, lordy, lordy. Now I had a really good question I'm gonna end on this, about what do you think about mushrooms, Cheryl? What do you think about mushrooms? Now, no different than, let's say, rocks or crystals. They have their different purposes, as you might have been familiar with, crystals as they call them. And they look different, they have different colors and all that kind of stuff. And supposedly the reason why the rocks are different or the crystals are different is because the energy that makes up that rock has different energy and therefore different information. So it appears as X for Y. Then, when we're thinking of mushrooms, you can't put them all in one pot. And the reason being is some of them are medicinal, not culinary. It's the same with herbs and plants. They're medicinal. And like herbs who are medicinal, you don't necessarily want to take them all the time. And the idea of taking it because it has some benefit or may have this benefit, and the complexes that they're creating, and then clearly, there's the processing aspect. Now, I just dove into one particular mushroom based on the conversation I was having with my client on what about mushrooms, and that was cordyceps. Now, cordyceps are very stimulating, and cordyceps, you see a little bit here, a little bit there. But the thing about cordyceps is there are different kinds, they're grown differently, and if they're not grown in a certain way, they're usually grown off of grains. That's how, call the same as anything else, any of the foods that we know, commercialized, industrialized, and they are not the same. They're just not the same. So cordyceps, let's say they're real cordyceps. How do cordyceps, I could have done this as something new. Cordyceps actually grows out of the heads and bodies of insects. So if it's an ant, a cordyceps, and there's different names of the cordyceps, grows out of the ant. And what happens is, as it grows out, as mushrooms do, they spew spores out. And then, oh, the Black Rock Vanguard scenario, oh, crazy stuff. And, the financial stuff about Black Rock, yeah, they do own. But I also found out, Howard, that the banks own each other, or let's say they're the largest shareholders of each other. Bunch, Scotiabank here, Montreal here, TD here. See, they're major shareholders of each other. It's kind of fascinating. So mushrooms, cordyceps. So what they do is the spores, the ant or whatever insect it is, ingests it and starts to go mad because this fungus, cordyceps, in order to survive and thrive on our planet, so not completely disappear, it will grow and take over, and of course the the poor ant. Ant dies, and you can see it clearly, and then it kind of grows out of it. Now I'm going to get to an interesting part here for sure, okay? I would just bear with me on this story because this is pretty creepy at the same time. So in real life, you have videos that show the various cordyceps looking differently, growing out of this, and they would be harvested and then consumed. Now, cordyceps is a stimulant, and how I learned about cordyceps probably, well, 2 decades ago from a fellow who used to deliver organics. And he used to take it on the one day that he had his big delivery day where he's like, go, 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 because it is that. But that's the only day he took it on. And he knew it was from a pure source from China, okay, for the reasons it grows there. They're usually in the jungles, tropical, that kind of thing. So, and his wife would take it, but she couldn't take it. It was overstimulating, uncomfortable. She could not take it. So that's cordyceps. But the cordyceps that's commercialized today, you wouldn't get that same effect. So do you want to take it? Nah, I don't know. I mean, there's definitely differences in the makeup of it from glucons, this, glucose, whatever, that kind of stuff. And it's that. So when you constantly see mushroom complexes, and they're putting a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and mixing out some medicinal, some culinary, then I'm not going to say they have exact research on all of this stuff. It's more like this may be, and so there has definitely been research, but the amounts that people have to take are crazy, and it's more, and some of them are actually seemingly more on the highly processed side too. And then you can get into the conversation about the mushrooms that are psychedelic, you know, psychedelic mushrooms. And I will liken that to a distraction for man, okay, a distraction. If need be, there's probably some use for it some of the time, but not the way people are wanting to have a trip, I'll call it, and do it regularly and enjoy it and do it again for all of what it does and what you can see and what you experience and go through. But I believe highly it's a distraction. It's unlike coffee, but cannabis, the ayahuasca, these psychedelic mushrooms, I feel that are being brought in for man to be the other addictions or new kinds of addictions. It definitely affects the mind, definitely affects the mind, and in some cases can be very traumatizing. And I've heard people died from some of these things, so definitely know who you're doing it with, so to speak. But that's that. So mushrooms, and it came clear in Fantastic Fungi that you can learn about mushrooms, but where a lot of the conversations go sometimes is to the psychedelics and how they've been used in the past for this and and they're coming out now. And again, I feel there's games being played here, and it's a huge distraction for our good health. Again, it's external stuff once again, and it's allowing people to not be aware, not be conscious. We can't drive on it. So that gives you one clue that if you can't drive with it, what is it doing? You know, what is it doing? So that's always a good thing to ask yourself. Can I drive while I am doing this? And so mind altering it is. And surely there absolutely may be a purpose to do it, you know, or to not do it. But there was one thing I was going to bring up. I forgot what it was, but it was something to do with mushrooms. Let's see if it comes back in. Oh, I was going to bring it full circle, and then I just got chatting away on the things. I was going to bring it to full circle on something or other. But let's just say for now, unless it pops in the time I'm saying goodbye, that it is a distraction, in distraction, definitely. So now that we've had our something completely news in this live at 5, and talk a little bit about kind of what's going on, just a teeny bit, but how it really relates to who we are and how to look at it that much more grounded. So it could be this event, and it could be an event in the future as well. And then our jokes and laughs and whatever. So always kind of bring in that more and more and more. So I'm going to wish everybody a wonderful week. And if I come on next time, it could be any night this week, because for the most part I'm around this week and so forth. So, well, write down those things that give you joy. Start setting your intentions for what you do want. There is such a thing called Line Gate portal that is out there for some who know and for some who don't know. But at any rate, set your intentions. And yes, before I leave as well, I have mentioned I'm putting together a presentation. I'm going to come up with the date. I'm a quarter way done, but certain things are coming in, and I want to be able to explain a number of things. And it's going to be about 2.5, maybe 3 hours. There's going to be actually exercises that people are going to do while we go through it. We'll have a couple of breaks as well. And it's meant to take the opportunity of now with certain understandings to grow and expand, and everybody in their own way, and all that kind of good stuff. So anyway, working on it. It's been a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. Kind of sometimes a little bit of what I've brought through it live at 5, maybe a little expansion on it, maybe a little exercise on it, and then other stuff as well. So I will probably create a Facebook thing for it too. I guess I will. Group, we'll see. Anyway, haven't thought that out that far yet. So I'm just going to wish everybody again a wonderful evening, a wonderful week, and we will see you again live at 5 shortly. Not too far down the road if we do it on a weekly basis, and if we do it twice a week. So take care, everyone. Bye for now, and thanks again, Howard, for all these wonderful posts. Thanks. Bye for now.